Let's move on to Smallville, Season 1, Episode 13. It's called Kinetic. There's nothing kinetic about an episode of Smallville. Let me just throw that out there right now. So this episode is about a group of criminals who use kryptonite tattoos, which gives them the ability to walk through walls.
It's a cool premise.
That's the premise of this episode. The first thing I want to talk about, however, is actually something very minor in the episode. So there's this group of villains who are all but in their mid-20s. The idea was they were kind of like Whitney, they were the high school stars, but now they've kind of dropped out, but now they're criminals.
Yeah.
And at one point they're trying to, bring Whitney in, we need new blood, so they kind of like lure Whitney in, like, hey, we're just like you, come with us. And they're not told them that they're doing criminal activity yet, but they've got them at a party. And at one point, when lead criminal is explaining, oh, this is very prosperous and it's great, a very attractive woman walks up and kisses him, and with the I think it was a lime in her mouth, and
yeah, just a tequila shot.
There you go. And you can tell I don't drink. And she walks out, and the whole point is she doesn't even have a line. She's just really, really sexy, and it's a really sexy moment. It's like, oh, this is how great his life is. Sexy woman coming up and kissing him, and she walks off. That woman was Evangeline Lilly, who Wasp from Ant-Man and Wasp, was in Lost. Yeah. And I did a double take, and what's really funny about this, so obviously this was 2001, so this was 3 years before Lost, so this was when obviously she was still taking these minor extra roles.
Yeah.
This is now the second thing I have spotted her in, pre-Lost, where she's just there, in a really small role. The other one, this was ages ago I noticed this, I think Lost was still on when I noticed this one, but she's in Freddy vs. Jason, which was a year before Lost. She's a high school student, and she's just in the background at one point. She's just standing there. And I remember noticing her and being like, is that Kate from Lost? What's happening? And then so watching this, and I'm just like,
this one's weirder, right?
This one's weirder, yeah. I was like, damn. It's just, obviously, so many actors had all these extra little roles before they had their break, right? That's a thing, it happens, but I feel like Evangeline Lilly now is the only actor I can think of where I've spotted them in twice for...
Yeah, and full circle with the superhero properties too.
Yeah, because now she's in the Ant-Man and the Wasp, so she's doing all right for herself. She's in movies. She's doing all right. So, but she's good because I like her. She's good stuff. But yeah, so she's there. She's got a cameo. I mean, it's not really a cameo when no one who knows who she is.
It's a part, yeah.
Yeah, but it's a cameo now. In retrospect, it's like, oh, I bet she regrets this. She's like, oh god, I had that really shitty role where all I was the hot girlfriend. Which is funny, actually, because I think of Evangeline Lilly as someone who doesn't take those roles, because she typically is the tougher one. She's typically, because Kate from Lost was this, person who was on the run and was very self-capable. Ant-Man and Wasp, hell, in the first Ant-Man, she's the one who's, teaching him how to punch. So, it's very against type as well, but hey.
It is. Yeah, I mean, you say she might regret it, but, I mean... ultimately it probably led to another job, right? And now where she is.
Sure, yeah, but I mean, I think every actor could think that way, but there's still, I still think there's probably an element of I wish I could have just skipped that one.
Oh yeah, I wish I could have, obviously.
Yeah, but when I say regret, I don't necessarily mean the regret what it led to. It's just in and of itself.
Yeah. It's a pretty shitty role. So no getting around that.
You can tell that I'm not excited about this episode when that is the most. That's the thing.
Right. I think I've got one of the most positive things I've ever said about Smallville in this episode.
It's definitely not Whitney's acting when he's wearing those sunglasses, because Jesus Christ, that was bad.
To do with Whitney, no.
Oh, he is awful. I'm so glad he's gone at the end of this season. He is terrible. Admittedly, he's not as bad as Lana. Or even Clark, to be honest, but at least he's one awful thing off the show at the end of the season.
It's a slight improvement when he's gone.
Yeah. So what's your positive?
Oh no, I'll save it. It's in the hospital. We'll get there when we're
right, okay.
It's more relevant.
So they break into Alex's house at the start of his mansion, and they steal. They go into his vault. They steal a bunch of jewels. Most importantly, they steal a floppy disk. Actually, do you know what? I actually think for a second what you call those things. I was like, what do you call those again? Floppy disk. It's a floppy disk.
You grew up with them as well, like that. That's the thing.
Well, not really. I kind of did. I never owned one, but at the time I had a computer, I was using discs. I was using CDs really? And DVDs. Yeah, I never used a floppy disk at home.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, I never got a computer till I was 11. So.
Okay.
so they were done by then. Basically, I mean, the school still used them for some things. That said, though, the place I worked for like 6 years, just after school, well, was up until
they still had floppy disks.
It wasn't a floppy disk. It was like this thing. It was like a stopgap between the floppy disk before CDs became big, and it was like a bigger capacity floppy disk. It was called a zip drive.
Oh yeah, the big square ones.
Yeah, it was a big chunky one. So it wasn't floppy. You couldn't flop it. But they had this, and they had this little portable reader that just was USB'd into this computer, and I was like, this is ancient. I was like, it was like a relic. I was like, what is that? Keep in mind, I started working in like 2000, like
that's what I mean.
8 or 9.
What?
Like this was ancient when I saw this thing. It's even more ancient now. I mean, hell,
crazy.
Computers don't even have floppy drives anymore. Like, hell,
I mean, they didn't then if they were using a USB thing to put.
Well, the computer was ancient as well. But no, they don't go into floppy drives though. They have to have a special reader.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
So it had a floppy drive in the computer. It just didn't fit that.
No. I grew up with floppies.
No, I never really used them. I was of the era that for a long time in high school when I was transferring data before USB sticks, it was DVD-RWs I was using, rewritable DVDs. I was using a lot of those.
Yeah.
And obviously now that's just like, no, you just use a USB stick. You can just...
You get your whole 4 gig on a DVD though.
That's true, yeah.
So I mean,
for the time, that was a huge amount of data.
Because obviously the CD rewrite was what 750 megs, something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And then so you got DVD one, 4 gig, huge.
4.7, I believe, is the exact.
I think that sounds about right.
Exact
you can tell it's been a while since I've had to use one of them.
Whereas now you can just have a flash drive. It's like,
here's 100 gig in my pocket.
Yeah, it's bigger than the hard drive I had back when I was using computers at that time. Anyway, that was a tangent. Yeah, floppy disk, ancient technology. But but he's got a which, by the way, even in 2001 feels a bit.
No, I feel like they were more reliable at the time. Still,
okay, I'll accept that.
You could have advanced at that point. Don't be wrong, but floppies were more, they were more widespread still. Again,
not that using like a CD or a DVD would be any less dated, because that's pretty dated anyway. But I was just thinking about 2001. That's probably around when I got a computer. And
but I think not everywhere had the disk drives, whereas everyone still had the floppy drives, so they were more universally accepted.
Interesting. Anyway, so Joe, it's weird to talk about a show that feels. I mean, like, because this is a show that started in 2001. It's a 2000 show, but it feels so dated now. And so
even the point where in the hospital they're like, "How did you get internet?" It's like, "Oh, I hooked into the phone line."
Oh yeah, no Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I'm like, "Oh yeah, shit," because I didn't even question it at first.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought about it. Yeah, that's a good point. It's a really good point.
I do appreciate though that. Okay, no, that makes sense.
Sure.
The phone line, sure. Whereas compared to some other shows of the era, where the technological reasoning was just.
If she's jacked out of the phone line, does that mean like somewhere else, like on the floor, someone's trying to use the phone and it's like not working?
And it's just giving them the dial tone.
And like, someone on their phone, someone call the maintenance guy, get him in here.
Probably, yeah.
Like someone's jacked in and using the internet.
Oh, can you remember that? Having to get off the phone.
This was something else I skipped entirely. My first ever internet was broadband.
Oh my god, you're so lucky.
My first internet was 250k broadband.
So you never had the dial-up tone?
Never. I know what it sounds like. I heard it, but
oh my god, that was such a thing for me. Just like, oh god, someone's on the phone. Get off.
Yeah. No.
And you know what? At that time, people on the phone were like, your parents on the phone was constant.
Oh yeah.
For whatever reason, because it was pre-mobile, so house phone, landline was, that's all it was. I was like, oh god, I just want to do whatever I was wanting to do at the time, and it's just get off the phone.
Yeah. So, something else I dodged. I mean, only just like I like if I'd been like 2 years earlier getting internet access, I'd have been on dial-up, but I wasn't. So, yeah, for me,
you're a lucky bastard, is what you are.
Although 250k obviously feels archaic now.
At the time, though,
I'm on hundreds of megs now, so but at the time it was something special.
It was, yeah.
But hey, so That is
Do you feel a bit old when we reminisce about technology like this?
a little bit. I mean, at least these memories are from when I was like 12, so you know, at least see in 10 years time when we're talking about stuff like this, but I'm like, shit, I was like 18 already by the time, like, you know, from the time I'm reminiscing about. At least I'm not at that point yet.
Yeah, that's true.
We're reminiscing about a time when I was like, you know, pre-teens still.
Yeah.
But when it gets to the point when I'm reminiscing about stuff where I was already an adult, I am going to feel ancient. Freaking ancient. Anyway.
Oh boy.
So yeah, these criminals, and they hurt Chloe. They throw Chloe out a window.
Which I will say, I appreciate that Clark didn't catch her and give away the secret. Right? He was just, oh no, he was too late, and she fell.
Sure.
I feel like it would have been easier. You know, he gets there. I feel like it would have been easy to do the thing where he runs down and catches her before she hits the ground, and then just magically explain it away somehow.
Okay, you assume they'll do that. I mean, I guess that's fair, I suppose. But the way I see it, though, it's just another way of stopping them from doing it. Like, you know, because this is a thing. They've got kryptonite tattoos, so as soon as they're around, he's in pain. He's like, oh, green veins.
No, that's fair. But when he's running to the window and she's fallen out, they're gone. They've gone out the room. He's okay now. He's running to the window and he gets there too late still.
Well, he's not okay. He's still kind of hunched over and moving. He's not recovered.
When he's at the window, he's fine.
When he's out the window, but she's already fallen by that point.
She has, yeah.
But hey, so she gets thrown out a window.
Satisfying, right?
Yeah, she's put into the hospital and she's complaining because, you know, I mean, not that I'd say I enjoy it either, but she treats it like it's prison. She's upset.
I have to say, no, the line of the show so far is when she's like, oh, they keep feeding me what it was like ice cream or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was because obviously I watched this a week ago now. And Clark just goes, oh, those fascists. I'm not gonna lie, I got a genuine chuckle out of that. And that is, I think, this is the first time a Smallville joke has properly got the reaction it was supposed to out of me.
Was this your positive? Was this line?
Yeah, that's it.
Jesus.
It's not a big positive, but it's the most positive I've been about the show so far. And joke landed.
So Clark goes investigating, and Whitney's being really moody. It turns out he's working at his store. Clark's there. It turns out he's lost his scholarship, so he thinks he's going to be doomed to stay in Smallville his whole life. So then the criminals,
true, isn't it?
yeah, then the criminals rope him in, and he goes on a mission with them.
They throw him in front of a truck first
to prove that the tattoo works, to show him what it does.
Yeah, not even to prove it, because they haven't told him yet.
Yeah,
they just hang him over the edge and just throw him into the road.
And it's like, okay, and then they end up going to try and extort money out of Lex for what's on that disc, which is basically just, oh, he's spying on his dad's company. That's essentially what he's trying to keep a hold of. And Whitney, to his credit, doesn't like going along with what they're doing, but but after the night of drinking, though, before this, is the infamous scene, and I'm calling it infamous because, like, he's pretty awful in this episode in general, but the scene where he's got a hangover, so he's wearing sunglasses whilst he's working at the store, is the most ridiculous bad thing I've ever seen. Well, that's a bit hyperbole, but he's standing there at work with sunglasses like anyone would let him do this. I mean, I guess because his dad owns the place and he's in hospital, so Whitney's, I guess, kind of the boss right now. Maybe he gets away with it.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, why is no one calling us like, hey dude, you got a hangover? How old are you again?
Yeah, no one does. No one actually. I mean, to be fair, I wasn't thinking that when I was watching it because he looks like 26, but
but you can't argue with it because he's meant to be what, 15?
16.
16? I don't know.
He must be. Yeah, he must. No, I think he's meant to be older than that because if he's talking about a scholarship,
he's got to be 17.
I think he's at least a year higher than Lana and Clark are.
That makes sense. He's got to be like 17, going on 18.
Yeah, I think he's in his junior year, going into his senior year, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes sense.
Or maybe he's already in his senior year. I'm not sure. He's higher up. But regardless, he looks 26. So he's all moody with Clark. He tells him to mind his own business and blah 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 blah. And then he eventually comes to his senses and he comes to Clark, and they concoct the plan to go and find this disc, and sure enough, they get there, but then the bad guys show up, but then Lex shows up and saves them, and he's there. Oh, I came for my friend Clark, not for the disc. I'm here for you. And it's this, heartwarming moment.
The disc's just a really convenient byproduct.
Yes, well, it's already been destroyed. Clark crushes it in his hand in front of the bad guys.
Yeah, but Lex doesn't know that.
Yeah, Lex doesn't know that. So that goes. That's basically it. I mean, the other subplot is that Lana wants to save the theater, or at the very least, like, not have it ripped down and turned into a parking lot. So she finds out Lex is the one buying it, and I thought, this is awfully convenient, because Lex will be like, I'll somehow save it and then find a way to blame it on Clark so he gets all the credit. Right, that's what I was thinking. As soon as it turned out to be Lex, I was like, that's what he's going to do. He's going to do him a solid. It's like, oh yeah, it's been saved. Clark convinced me. So, how could I ever thank him? Well, Lana, I've got a few suggestions on that topic.
That sounds like something Lex would do. Although it's not what he does, but
it's not what he does. He's like, no, this is we need parking lots for all the businesses that are opening up in the office space and blah 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 blah. And Lana, goes away. She's part of the Whitney plot to a point where she's just kind of there for a couple of scenes. And then at the end of the episode, we actually end the episode. The final scene is Lana has Lex back at the shop, back at the theater, and she comes in with like a folder. She's got a little folder where she's like, I've got a business plan, Lex. I know I'm only 16 years old, but I've got a business plan. Other places, other small towns have renovated their old businesses and made them thrive again. You can get it, classified as a historical landmark, and that gives you a tax break. Don't ask me to explain what it is. Just there's tax benefits, and he quite honestly says, "Who's going to run the place though?" And she's like, "Well, Nell said she'd be up for it, and I'll do some stuff after school. I'll do stuff during the summer.
I'll train in the summer.
Yeah." Well, we can do things. And all I could think was, I think it's really funny how the Clark and Whitney stuff was very much how they both want to leave and don't want to be with what their father does in Smallville. And then Lana is basically, theoretically, unless she gives it to someone else later, is kind of almost tying herself to this place in Smallville. She's like, no.
To be fair, though, it's I mean, I don't want to say to its credit, but at least, with Whitney and Clark, their fathers are there. They're trying to, outgrow them, whereas with Lana, it's her parents are gone.
Okay.
So she's trying to find an attachment to them, because it's what she's never had them, whereas Clark and Whitney have always had them.
I hate how good of a point that is.
Yeah, I don't think that's quite what the show is going for, but it's there.
They stumbled into something that works. Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
However, Lex, for some reason, despite the fact that this entire pitch takes over the time of about 30 seconds, right? It's a 30-second time span.
Yeah, pretty much, and he has a quick flick through the folder, like,
okay. And she's like, wait, does that mean yes? And then he all he does is, well, I'll have to look over things, but yeah. And then he walks out. And then what's interesting is the final shot. We get this weird shot of Lana where she's happy, and then the smile fades and she looks really concerned. And then we fade to black on that. And I'm like, wait, we're doing the Spider-Man 2 ending where she's like unsure about what she just did. I'm like, it's not that complicated a thing. Like, I mean, I guess it's implying that she's just maybe doubting Lexi's intentions or whatever he was up to. But
it's either his intentions or her ability.
Yeah. It was a really weird moment to end on. It was bizarre.
Better than a sappy song at the end, though, isn't it?
No, there was a lot of weird early 2000s new metal though. Whenever the bad guys were
because
robbing places.
Last week when I watched this episode instead of the one I was supposed to,
yes,
Pete said to me, "Oh, a lot of early 2000s music in this one," and I went, "Yeah, there is." That was weird, isn't it? And then you started naming the specific ones from last week, and I was like, "Hang on a second."
Yeah, I didn't recognize any from this specifically.
Like, I wouldn't be able to say any of them, but they were all like ones I recognise.
I didn't recognise what the song specifically. I just it just sounds like early 2000s metal.
It does, don't it? It's got that grit to it.
Yes, that whiny angst mixed in with the
it's a very specific amp grit sound.
Yeah, what can I say? I grew up in that era, so I don't necessarily dislike it. I'm going to be honest. Well, I don't like the songs in this one, but
I can take or leave them. The ones in this one.
There's a lot of music from that era I enjoy because that was in my preteen era.
It's a guilty pleasure these days, though, isn't it?
A lot of it is. I think some of them have aged well, and then some have not. And I can enjoy both, but it's just the case of knowing why you like certain things and why not the others? But yeah. So there's the music, and there's one touch I liked. I liked that one of the criminals was missing an arm, because they've been fading, like they've been doing bank robberies, and he lost his arm because basically the tattoos keep running out, like the power runs off after a while, so they keep having to get new tattoos. And the idea is they learned this when his arm was already halfway through a wall, so he lost his arm. And actually, that's really funny.
I think my one critique of this is Clark sees that arm. He does some X-ray vision on the bank vault.
Yeah, which was really funny, just to see an arm in the wall.
It was, but I don't like how, it was never really brought up again. He never mentions it. It's like, oh, hey, I'm looking for a guy missing an arm.
Yeah, that's true, and that's never brought up. From a script writing perspective, it's stupid that he never actually mentions that again.
It's a nice touch for it to be missing and to see, oh, that's where it was. But from Clark's perspective, it adds nothing.
Yeah, but that was pretty funny. So, yeah.
Just on the topic of Smallville, I did see there's talk of a reunion in the form of an animated show on the new DC Universe service.
Oh, really?
Nothing official yet, but a bunch of the cast have said, yeah, I'd be up for that.
Not Allison, Mack.
No, not Allison, Mack. Kristin Kreuk said it. Rosenbaum said it. Obviously, Tom Welling said it. But a bunch of them have been like, hey, animated? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, because even if they do 5 episodes a season for animated, and for the work for the actors, it's still like a week in a booth.
Yeah, it's pretty easy for them. They're quite happy with it.
Yeah. There's no reason why they would turn that down.
I don't necessarily want more Smallville, because obviously, but it probably wouldn't be the worst investment for them as a service, because there are fans out there, and it would add to the value from their perspective. And animated, so it's cheaper. We'd
have to review it.
We would.
That would upset me dearly. That's all I'm saying. It'd upset me, especially if some of the same writing staff are back.
But only 20-minute episodes, right? I will say though that, because obviously they did the Smallville comic afterwards. I never actually got around to checking it out, but I'm pretty sure it was Brian Q. Miller.
It was, yeah. Too.
I really like as a writer.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He did some of the best Batgirl stuff.
And I did see the one of the covers was like a Green Lantern introduction thing to the Smallville. It's obviously once it's comics and do whatever they want. I thought, maybe one day I'll check that out. Maybe once we finally get through this, I'll go and check out.
Oh god, it's going to take us like 10 years to get through all this.
I know, and I'll have completely forgotten about it.
Instead of newing 30, I'll be newing 40 by the time we're finished this.
If you're lucky.
So were you predicting my death in my mid-30s?
Yeah, take it either way. I was like, either you're not going to make it, or this is going to take longer than we fear.
All right, okay, all right.
I mean, take your pick. I mean, it was there. It might take longer was what was in my mind, but as soon as I said it, the other threat became clear.
So yeah, not the worst episode, although it was lacking any of the Kent. Like the Kents were in like one scene this episode. Not a lot of Kents.
No, it wasn't. But hey, that stupid plot with Lex and the British people's gone.
That's true. And as per usual, there was like one scene of Pete, maybe two.
Yeah, I can obviously, again, week old for me, but I can only remember him in the scene where Clark looks into the bank vault.
Pete is basically a pointless character in the show. I didn't remember this because it's been so long since I'd seen it, and I don't think I thought of things as critically when I watched it. When this first aired, because I was really young.
Yeah.
But watching it now, like, he is basically just this extra character who is just there because Pete Ross is supposed to be there, not because they actually have anything to do with them.
No, like I said, I think he's there in the bank vault with Clark, and he's in the hospital room with Chloe because he plugs in a laptop. But that's about it.
Yeah, he's just kind of around. It's kind of a shame. But we get Whitney.
There's a reason why he doesn't stick around for forever, right?
Yeah, because presumably the actor was unfulfilled with this role.
I think he gets like 3 seasons though, right?
3 seasons, yeah.
Which is baffling that he, that much for him.
Yeah.
That said, he's series regular, right? So
he gets paid.
He gets paid either way.
Which is what's funny for me though is something that Arrow. I mean, Arrow's not as bad as Smallville, but it's pretty bad. But what I do think is funny in compare them, this is very much it's one of the things that I would critique the CW for, is that I do feel like, and obviously this started off in the WB, but WB became the CW. is basically this idea where they've got like certain side characters who are just kind of there to fill out a side cast role, as opposed to actually be there because there's plot reasons to actually have that character. Because there's tons of characters in Arrow, whether or not they started like that or they became useless as time went on and they had nothing for them to do. Major characters who, if I was, basing a show on the comic book that Green Arrow is supposed to be based on, like Black Canary would be like the most important character after Oliver, by far.
Yeah, and even
No
in
question.
the show's context, Thea, who's obviously like an amalgamation of a couple of characters from the comics,
Yeah.
it isn't as directly go, oh, that's a must. In context of the show, she was pretty important, right? As the sister.
For the first few seasons, aye.
And then she just kind of went, forget it.
After Bloodlust, it all just kind of went downhill.
Did.
Which is funny because Bloodlust was pretty downhill as it was. So there you go. That's Smallville Kinetic.
We made it.